In this lesson, we'll copy over our original JSX code from our app component to our new app with hooks component. So I've once again opened the components side by side, and let's begin from the very top. We are utilizing two other components in our returned JSX. The first is the switch component from the React Switch library, and the second is our own custom button component. And we're going to need both of those imports in our new component as well. So let's copy these two lines over to begin. And then, of course, in a class component, we provide the JSX as the return value of the render method. So if I scroll down, this is the ultimate JSX that we want. And in a functional component, we simply return that JSX as the return value of the function. Now, there are 3 additional lines in the render method right here, and we're only going to need 2 of them. The first line right here is destructuring our state properties from this.state, but the good news for us in our new functional component is we no longer need this line. First up, we don't have this.state, but more importantly, we have these exact names already available right here as constants that we've assigned to our destructured values from the useState hook calls, right? So we already have login mode available to be used in this returned content. We already have email, password, confirm password. In fact, in the very last lesson, we used email directly in line right here. And so we're going to be able to utilize that exact same technique with the JSX that we copy over. Now, going back to the app component, we are going to need these 2 constants, greeting and text, because these are both utilizing the login mode piece of state to determine a bunch of text that's going to conditionally appear in our final JSX. But luckily, since we already have login mode available right here, it's similarly going to be a very easy process to transfer our old code over. So I'm going to begin by copying over greeting and text right here. And you'll notice there's no issues because login mode already exists. We gave it that name, or we gave that Boolean piece of state that name right here, and it's going to apply the exact same logic right here. If login mode is true, it's going to choose these 2 values, and if login mode changes to be false, it's going to change to these 2 strings right here. Then for my return JSX, I'm just going to copy this entire blob of JSX right here, all the way to the bottom, and remove all my old content, paste, let Prettier do its job, and there we go. So now we have our complete JSX from the original component. Now keep in mind, if you look inside the browser at this juncture, you'll see that the app is not working, and that is because we have some old code that is no longer working in our new functional component. For example, right here, we are providing this keyword reference with a method called handle mode change that no longer exists. And that fake reference or non-existent reference is going to cause the app to fail. Don't worry, we're going to fix those issues in the upcoming lessons. But what I want to focus on right now is noticing how much stays the same, right? We can obsess over the differences that we need to fix, but take a look at how much stays the same. Most of our JSX remains the same JSX, the same HTML, and even references to our state remains the same. Here we're using login mode. That is still totally valid because that is coming from login mode right here. Similarly, for the value attributes or props of our inputs, our old pieces of state are still working because we still have a piece of state called email and a piece of state called password and a piece of state called confirm password and a piece of state called message. The only difference is this state is no longer coming from this.state because we are not in a class component. They're now coming from the useState hook that we used earlier. We still have these pieces of state that are capable of changing over time. We're just getting them from a different source. We're creating them from a different source. All right. So that completes our copy process. And moving forward, what we're going to do is start replacing some of these old references and old methods with similar implementations, but now in functional component land, in hooks land. Okay, that's all there is to cover in this lesson. So I will see you in the next one.